We're live, and it's Thursday night. And Kiwi could not make it tonight. He texted me a little while ago. He says, I can't make it tonight. I says, no worries, bro. I got you covered. So I had to think real quick because, I know a lot of you guys tune in just because you want to see Kiwi. He doesn't do his lives on his own channel. I keep telling him, Kiwi, you got to do lives on your own channel. People love you. But anyway, he couldn't make it tonight. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a lot of really disappointed people. So, real quick, I created a simulated Kiwi over here. And it's actually, if you really, all right, so it's not as good as CGI. It's no deep fake. I get it, but we don't have the budget for that sort of thing. I don't have that kind of intense technical crew, that can create that sort of thing. So I did the next best deal, and tonight Kiwi is going to be represented by this bucket of paint, which isn't completely empty. It still has about a quart in it, a breather, and a crash helmet. I mean, it's as close as the real thing as I can come up with. So, Tavo, what's happening, man? No, you did not miss a thing. Uh, AZ Highland Homestead, how you all? Bill McKaiska, Cart 70, Mitten Made Muscle, Three Dogs. Uh, Kiwi, you saying hi to these people? Yeah, yeah, yes. Kiwi is acknowledging you. Where's Kiwi? He could not make it. He's doing something important, probably with the government or science. I would guess he's probably doing something with science, because he's that way, right? So I have no idea where he is tonight. Just that he couldn't make it. So like I says, it's there you go, Kiwi. Um, Crash test Kiwi. Yes, yes. Um, Kiwi Tavo says hello. Oh, okay. Um, Redneck, be proud of your paint job. I am proud of my paint job. I'm looking at it right now. I've been peeling off tape and putting trim back on the car. They took off and letters and stuff like that. I still got to work on the taillights. The taillights are a mess. I can't just plug them back in there yet. So I guess I'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, the car's great. I'm thrilled with it. I really am. It's like you start a project and you have a vision in your mind what it's supposed to be, and very rarely does it actually turn out to be the way you wanted it. You know what I mean? Like that. But this car is so far is turning out to exactly match the vision I had in my head, and I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it. Um, Vincent Caruso, greetings from the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. Oh my God, I don't miss that place. Lee Houston, the Charger is sharp. Thank you, Lee. Fun with cars, hello UTG fans. Mopar man, what's happening? Nothing like Rust-Oleum Rattle campaign job. No, bro, it's not Rust-Oleum. It's actually being Kiwi right now, but it's TPG Global is the company, and they have a line of paints called Hot Rod Flats. Okay, and the paint that I used is called Boulevard Black. So originally I was going to just go with this charcoal kind of black, and Uncle Kathy, she says no, it's got to have some kind of shine to it. It's got to have some sheen to it. So I went to the next step up from the that flat black, the hot rod black, to this Boulevard Black. Man, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Um, let's see. Nick Jones, hey Tony, love the channel. I'm working on a '69 Charger. My first car I ever built was a '69 Charger. You got me leaning towards that hot rod black. Yeah. Oh, bro. I say a Coke bottle Charger would look like stunning in this color. Um, Hi, the crowd. Hey, Tony, when's the Brat Bike channel going up, bro? I need crew, man. I need people to be doing stuff. I'm maxed out. There won't be any more channels coming anytime soon. Possibly a podcast. We're working on a podcast. I think we're working on a podcast, but that's all I can really do right now. Charlie, what's happening? I'm sorry we didn't get to hook up this weekend. It was crazy. Um, Charles, it was good. Thank you, brother. New guy's garage looking really good. Black and chrome can't go wrong. You can't, right? Well, you'll see it. I guess tomorrow or the next day. We're gonna have the car on the ground, and you can see like the full effect because like you could only see like a little bit of it as I was peeling off the paint on the video this morning. But now all of the trim is back on it, and all of the paint is off, and like the chrome just pops off the car. It's amazing. Hot Rod Black with a no, can't put it. Not you can't do that on a 67. No bumblebee stripes for 67. Uh, Dr. Art, what's happening, man? What's a test drive within the next day or two? Within the next day or two. New channel, Uncle Winnie's Garage. She's so awesome. She's awesome. Um, let's see. The crowd come to Chopper Fest here in Wisconsin next year. Some way cool. Yeah, bro. I don't have the time to. Seriously, you don't understand. You guys have no idea how much time running a channel like this takes. I just don't have the time to do it. I just can't. If the channel if the okay so there there are some channels, very popular channels, that all they do is go places, and that's great, but that's all they do, right? And they'll post one video a week, but we're a much smaller channel, so to stay economically viable, we got to post a few videos a week, several videos a week, and do these lives, and it just doesn't leave any time to go and check out an event like that, or very difficult. You guys really have no idea. um, let's see. Greg McDonald, are floating pin connecting rods and press pin connecting rods interchangeable, or are they different? Yeah, a floating pin rod is going to have a bushing. Now, I have come across, and I've done it myself, I have just honed pins out, or rods out. I have honed pinholes out and drill the hole. So, okay, so from the factory, a floating pin rod is always going to be bushed, 100% of the time. If you want to create a floating pin of your own, you can do it. You can hone the small end of a pin so that you've got that slip fit. You have to oil it. You have to so what I'll do is I'll drill a hole through the top of the rod down into the pin area. And I've had engines that I ran like that for thousands of miles on the street and never had a problem. I'm not recommending that you do it, but I've done it and it works. But yes, they floating pin rods and non-floating press pin rods are different. Um, let's see. Um, Paul Capizzola, are you taking the Charger to the Mopar Nationals? No, we're going to use the Jeep to run up there. Um, who is your guest tonight? Super Dave? No, it's a simulated Kiwi, and it's the best that I could come up with. He couldn't make it tonight. So I think it's very realistic, to be perfectly honest with you. Oh, that's hot here. Uh, Kiwi, you thirsty? Yeah. See, an incredible simulation. Um, let's see. Danny Roca, can I please get your options on aftermarket parts? I don't know what you mean by that, Danny. Uh, oh, there's Kiwi. Kiwi, he's actually look. He's there. I simulated you, Kiwi. Just you know. Let's see. Racer Gin 3D. Have you seen or heard of Mike Copeland's hydrogen pickup? I have not. Apologies if you've already covered it. I have not. No, I'm interested in. Uh, I'm interested in anybody who can get power out of a hydrogen. See, I mean, obviously, an engine will run on hydrogen. There's no question about it. An engine will run on natural gas, on propane. You can run engines on anything, and hydrogen is no exception. The question is, how much power can you make out of the hydrogen? And I don't mean hot rod power. I mean like real usable power. You know what I mean? Like normal acceleration, merging on the highway, passing on the highway, that sort of stuff. Because the thing with hydrogen, just like any other gas, not gas, not liquid, but any other gas, so propane, natural gas, any of those things. The problem with them is that it's a very short duration power burn. So in other words, like the atomized liquid fuel burns for a long period of time because the fuel droplets, the fire has to jump from droplet to droplet. And so you get a longer duration of burn. The longer the duration of burn, the further the piston gets pushed down by that flame front, by the active flame front. Gas doesn't have that same chain. So the combustion process or the combustion event with gas, like hydrogen, happens very quickly. And because of that, you don't get as many degrees of duration burn. And so I'm interested in anybody who can make comparable power across the range with a hydrogen or propane or anything like that type of engine. Um, Human methane, I guess you could. Oh, geez, Kiwi, your knee is failed. Oh my God, you all right, man? Yeah. So for those guys who don't know, Kiwi had an accident about 3 years ago, I guess it was, where he ran himself over with a Mustang. You know, it happens. It happens. Sometimes you just run yourself over. So he ran himself over with a Mustang, and he's got two fake knees, or two artificial knees. And it's funny too because we were just last week we were just talking about his knees after the show was over, and I guess he had a failure. Um, so Kiwi, if there's anything I can do, you need any help around the shop for a couple of days. Although my back is probably as bad as your knee, man. This has been a rough couple of months with my back. But if you want me to, if I can help you, just let me know. Um, let's see. Um, Danny Roca, opinion on aftermarket vintage parts. I love aftermarket vintage parts. Um, yeah, at the end of the rainbow, you'll make more power with stuff that's been designed in the modern era. But the older stuff has so much character. It really does. Um, and a lot of it depends on what kind of vintage aftermarket parts you're talking about. Um, let's see. The crowd. Tony, were Dana 60s available with 440s and B-body Mopars? Yes. Any 440 speed automatically got a Dana. And then you had the Super Track Pack on that was available for automatic 440 cars in 71. So maybe in 72 also. Geez, I don't know about that. But anyway, yeah, it was optional. The Dana 60 was optional with an automatic, and it was standard with a 4-speed 440. Um, uh, Kiwi saying, I think they may have used some GM parts in there. Yeah, well, I could see where there would be rejection. You know what I mean? I could see where you would be rejecting that. Lewis Katz, what's happening, Lewis Katz? Zero, where's Zero? Well, I didn't see you in there, Zero, but hello. Um, cool. My '69 Charger with the 440 was factory. Had some experts tell me mine was modified. Ooh, okay. If is it a 4-speed car? Because if it's a 1969 with an automatic, there was no regular option or no regular way to get a Dana 60. So if it was a 4-speed, it would have come with a Dana 60. Period. The end. The standard 354 gear and an optional 410 on that. But if it's an automatic in '69, no, somebody added that. Um, let's see. Um, log dog. What is the lowest ratio ring and pinion that could be put in an 8 3/4 49? You know, it was someplace in the 580s, and I want to almost say something in the low sixes, like a 617. This is gonna sound crazy, right? If you go back, if you find back in the early '60s, right? Chrysler like offered you like anything, anything you wanted to do, they offered a way to do it, and they had gear ratios available. Like let's say like the 1963 300 was it the J, right? You could get this range of gear ratios that was off the chain. It wasn't just like one extra gear ratio to it. They listed like everything, like way into the fives. So yeah, it was someplace in like the 580 range and possibly as low as like 617. I could be wrong about that, but look into it because you'd be surprised what was available on those cars. Um, Glenn Nickerson, UT, what was more enjoyable, painting the charger or taking the masking material off? Here's the thing, right? Painting for me is such a stressful thing. I mean, like really super stressful. Uh, it's like, yeah, taking the tape off was definitely much better. John M, has Bottle Rocket made it back to the track? No, Bottle Rocket's just sitting over here. Slag Hammer is the next thing to go out, and then Bottle Rocket after that. Um, Liquid Gold, is there a way to determine what gear ratio of a Ford 9-inch without taking it apart? Okay, if it's got a locker like a posi style rear, then it's pretty easy. You jack up the back of the car, and this will only work if both wheels turn together. If you have a completely open rear, you cannot do this. It will not work like that. But if it's a posi type of rear, right, a locker type of rear, jack the car up, put it in neutral, jack the car up, rotate the tire one complete revolution, and count the number of times the dry shaft turns. So just for the sake of example, if you get one complete revolution of the tire and the universal, the dry shaft spins 4 times, that's a 4-to-1 ratio. If it goes 4.5 times, that's a 4.5 ratio. And then you can figure out what's the closest number is numerically that would be available in that rear. Um, let's see. Dino Pneumatica. I'd say the best name for the Charger would be Black Charger Matters. Um, Danny Roca, I love the hack videos. Make more. Only when they come up, bro. When they come up. I don't go looking for them. I don't go looking for them. But when they come up, we do them. Arthur Fiddler, I found it works even on an open rear. Try turning the dry shaft and counting how many times. You see, it can, under certain circumstances, be possible to do it that way. But if it's a truly open rear, it only takes the center section to turn just a little bit. Because remember, the multiplication factor through the smaller spider gears, it's much greater than through the ring and pinion. So it only takes the spider gears to move just a little bit to throw that number way off. So, you know what I mean? I know what you're saying, but it's generally not accurate. Joe K, would you say the GM G80 locker is the same as a posi? No, it's a locker. A posi is a limited slip, and a locker is a locker. Brother Dio, hey Tony, how is the new pup? She is awesome. Her name is Winnie, and she's a border collie. She's a purebred border collie. Um, yeah, she's awesome. You'll see more of her over the next day or two. I wasn't gonna bring her. She would have been in a video today, but I didn't want to bring her to the shop. This place is toxic right now. I mean, like it's seriously toxic. So I didn't want to have her running around here and get the Bondo dust and all the other stuff all over her. Foster's One Man's Vision. Hey, Tony, great show. Thank you, sir. Your thoughts on leaf spring, 11-second range, stock, super stock, or Caltrax? Thanks. Okay, right now, Bottle Rocket is in the 11-second range, and it has a completely stock rear end. It's got an 8 3/4, and it's got the stock satellite or Dodge Coronet 318 springs that it was born with, and it wheelies. You know what I mean? It's zero problem as far as that goes. So for an 11-second Mopar, stock springs. So you may have to work with the shocks, and the big thing now is the clamps. Okay, the way you make the stock Mopar suspension work is with the clamps. So from the factory, they clamp the leaf springs at both ends, right? So here's your rear end in the center, and here's the front of the spring, here's the back of the spring. Okay. The front of the spring is 1/3 the length of the back of the spring. So they put a clamp at the front and they put 1 or 2 clamps at the back to band the leaves together. So what you do is you take whatever clamps are on the back of the spring, you take those off and you move them to the front. So instead of having 1 in the front and 2 in the back, you're going to have 3 in the front, and you clamp them down really tight. Okay. And that turns the front of the leaf spring into a traction bar. Okay, now this only works on Mopars. You cannot do this on a GM or a Ford that has the rear end centrally mounted. Well, maybe you can, but it doesn't work. It doesn't have the same effect. It works on a Mopar because the Mopar has an asymmetrical leaf spring that puts the axle forward in the front third of the spring. And so that shortest section of spring, when you clamp all those leaves together, becomes a traction bar. So for an 11-second Mopar, there is absolutely zero additions you need to make the car work. Um, let's see. Most of your parts. What's going on, Ron? Let's see. Liquid Gold 93. Is there any way to tell if your rear end is a completely worn out posi or an open diff? No. No. If the posi traction unit is that far gone, no, you can't. You just got to pop the cover off. Backyard clunkers. Your 66, 67 Charger would look killer with the 1970 Super B double hockey stick. No, bro, I can't. See, that's the thing. I'm like purist like that. Yeah, I can't put anything on the car that wasn't on a 67. Does that make any sense? I know it's a hot rod. I get that, right? But I can't mimic something from another year Mopar. Now, I mean, to do a completely different type of stripe, that's different. But to use a Mopar type of stripe on a car that it didn't come with, yeah, no, can't do that. Can't do that. Um, Raining Slant 6 with a chance of cannonballs. Tony, what's up? Where's Kiwi? Kiwi is home. He's had massive knee failure. So he had he had both of his knees replaced because he ran himself over with a car. I wish I could say that, but no, I don't. Nah, sorry, no, I don't. Okay, so no, so evidently one of his knees blew out today. Uh, wish Kiwi the best. I'll call him. I'll call him after the show is done. And but I assembled a simulated Kiwi just so that you guys would feel that same kind of vibe. All right, let's see. Jonathan Lupercio. I just got an 833 off a D100 slant six. It's going my Duster Big Block 400. Also, the interior trans cover plastic doesn't fit inside, so the hunt continues in getting an aluminum bell housing for it. Good luck with that, brother man. Stevie B bought an electric scooter today. Tony, small one. I'm looking for runs with anyone on Long Island. Okay, anybody on Long Island that's got an electric scooter that wants to square off against Stevie B. There you go. There's your call out. Fred Franklin, Tony, have you ever heard of the Golden Gator? You're talking about Chase Knight's car? It was a top alcohol dragster, 1972, 1973, 70. Actually started as a top gas car, and ran NHRA Pro Comp and then top alcohol dragster because there was that evolution from Pro Comp to top alcohol. It happened in the 75 range, 76. I'm not sure of the years, but that was a late Hemi, 426 style Hemi, with a 671 blower and two turbochargers feeding the 671 blower. I studied that car years ago because it was an interesting concept. So I gathered as much information on it as I possibly could back in the day when I was interested in that sort of thing. Mrs. Kiwi says my replacement is cuter than me. I made it for Maury. Let's see. Mostly all parts. Ron, Tony, on the subject of Mopar leaf spring rear suspensions, what material do you feel works best for the front spring eye bushing? I like the rubber. I know everybody like right away, oh, go with the polyurethane, right? Go with the polyurethane. But I think the polyurethane allows too much shock. Okay. I think that to make the stock leaf spring work, okay. So listen. Okay, let's say you're going with a Caltrac type of thing, you're using a traction bar type of deal. I would say go with a polyurethane or even an aluminum bushing. Okay, but if you're going to go with just clamping the springs, I think that setup wants a little bit of give. I think it wants that little bit of give to work effectively. So I would say if you tie down the rear suspension, then tie down the bushing. But if you're leaving the rear suspension to work, on its own, then go with a rubber bushing and let it be free. Um, Chris Kevin, drag chutes, axle or frame. It doesn't really matter as long as you have it located at the right height. Because the thing when you mount on a drag chute, and this is something like people don't really take into consideration, when you mount on a drag chute, that shock when the chute deploys, it whatever height you've got the chute mounted at is going to affect the front of the car. Okay, so if you've got it mounted, let's say too high, and it all depends on the type of car and how fast you're going. So there are differences here. So you need to pay attention to the type of car that you're using, the type of mile an hour it's running, and where its center of gravity is. Too high of a chute placement will cause the front end to get light. So you pop the chute. Let's just say you've got a track that's got a little bit of unevenness or you're a little bit slightly out of shape at the time that you hang the chute. Well, if the chute is mounted too high, if you're just a little bit out of shape, there's no correcting that. See, the chute will pull the car straight, but you'll end up overcorrecting. It's bad. A lot. I'm convinced that a lot of top end crashes happen because of improper chute height. But it doesn't matter if you mount it to the frame or if you mount it to the rear end housing. Um, let's see. Uh, Paul Capizzola, any thoughts on the addition of injected nitro combo being added to the NHRA alcohol funny car class? They should have done that eons ago. See, the NHRA does stupid stuff, right? So injected nitro has been part of top alcohol now. I mean, really, I mean, forever, for decades. Okay, but they jerked around the funny car guys. So now, when I was involved in all that, right, there were a lot of people who would have run. There's a lot of people who dropped out because just the money wasn't there, but would have made the switch to top alcohol if they ran injected nitro, the top alcohol funny car, if they allowed electric injected nitro. Um, IHRA did for a little while. IHRA allowed injected nitro, and who was the guy that was running injected nitro doing really good with it? Mark Niver was the hitter in Top Alcohol Dragster. Oh, Gary Rattel. And I should know that name because he comes from my area over here. The Rattel brothers were running an injected nitro car on the IHRA circuit. And it was really good. They did really good with it. But why it hasn't been a staple of alcohol funny car from the very beginning, I have no idea. It's just the idiots that run the NHRA. Need Metal, thank you for the super chat. Have you seen the new Harleys with VVT system? Oh my God, no. Oh my God, don't void the warranty. Here come the problems. I don't even want to consider. Yeah, yeah. You know what? Harley Davidson has just gone to a place, right? They've just gone to a place. The styling on the new bikes, okay, is like freaking anime character. I have I have no idea how they allowed themselves to go so far out of I forgot about tradition that they look like they were drawn like for an anime cartoon. So why not add? Yeah, Scott Weiss. Yes, I know Scott Weiss did have one in the 90s. Um, but yeah, Captain Desmond, what happened to the IHRA? The IHRA was a good organization. I, if you go back to the 80s, the first so the IHRA was not really competition for the NHRA, but it was a good regional competition, right? Um, it was a good regional alternative to the NHRA. And then in 1988, Billy Meyer bought it, and when Billy Meyer bought it, Billy Meyer was a funny car racer back in the 70s, and an oil guy, oil money. So Billy Meyer bought the IHRA in 1987, and he eliminated everything but the pro classes. So everything, all your stock, super stock, comp, and modified, and all these classes that really drew people there's a lot of door slammer people with the IHRA. Eliminated all those classes, made them only brackets. And it sucked because at the time I was screwing around with funny cars, but I also had a pure stock Mustang, and I was running under the IHRA pure stock record. This is back in '87, and he squashed all those classes, which broke my heart and killed modified, right? But anyway, and then from that point on, there was just nothing that they could do to really bring the IHRA back, and it's been a slow slide ever since. Mostly all parts. IHRA nitro door slammers. Well, see, that was a problem too, okay? Because I was talking with Bill Coleman when all of that was going on, and they limited them to like 20%, whatever the hell it was. What I don't remember the exact limitation, okay? But it was a suicidal tune-up. It was like not enough nitro to run it as a nitro motor, and too much nitro to run it as a safe alcohol combination. I forget what the percentage was, and I remember talking to Bill Coleman when he was running this thing, and we were just talking on the phone, and he was like, "You should see the piles of pistons I got." He's like, "I got boxes and boxes and boxes of pistons just stacked up on the wall, and they're all destroyed." And it was because of the way they structured that class. If the IHRE just had said, "You know what, go ahead, run all the freaking nitro you want," they would have had a really cool class. The cars could have been tuned on like a safe nitro tune-up. You know what I mean? Like a 75, 80% nitro tune-up. And they would have gone lap after lap after lap, and they would have put more power on the ground than they could ever handle on a door slammer type chassis. So it would have been great. It would have been great. But, rules makers, man, rule makers, that they'll screw everything up. Um, let's see. Jolly Rancher, what do you think of Tom Bailey mods he's done to the vintage Hemi drag car? I'm not familiar. Um, let's see. Spikeista, you're feeling on Duster Demon. I feel these are going to go crazy, and it's almost too late to get a decent one at reasonable money, which is why I'm holding on to my 74 like grim death. I have no plans for the car. I have no use for the car, but I know I can't replace it. I know I can't replace it. It's a completely rust-free car. It's an original slant six, 3-speed on the floor, but I have no plans for the car. I don't use it, but I ain't getting rid of it because I know that I can't replace it. And if I get a bug for a Duster, I've got one. Um, let's see. M Swab, hey Tony, do you have a good knowledge on funny car history? Someone I know claims that the funny car he had was an ex Jungle Jim, but it's a Javelin. No. Well, okay, so the chassis could have been a jungle car. Um, let's see, how would you identify a jungle chassis? So Jungle gas welded aluminum. Jungle did his own tin work and stuff on the cars so there are several cars out there that have been identified as Jungle rollers by the fact that the seats were all gas welded aluminum. So that's one quirk or one idiosyncrasy of a Jungle chassis. As far as the cars go, no. Javelin funny cars. Who had Javelin funny cars? Marv Eldridge ran a Javelin funny car. Oh God. Um, there's a couple of people who ran Javelin bodies, but Jungle definitely never a Javelin. Um, the holes. Uncle Tony, you should also start a business where you do Vehicle inspections on classic cars before purchase to stop their flipper rubbish going on. $500 for an inspection. I know I could do that. I have people ask me literally every day to do inspections on cars, but I don't take them because it could be considered to be a conflict of interest. Okay, so let's just say I do an inspection on a car. Okay, and I find something that's like really wrong with it. Am I just finding things that are wrong with it because I do videos and I'm looking for content? You see what I'm saying? So there's your potential for conflict of interest for me to get involved in a business like that. Now, if I stop doing YouTube, yeah, I do that in a heartbeat. I just run around and check out classic cars, do inspections. I would definitely do that, but I can't do it as long as I do this business. Um, John Overstreet, any way to make something like a Hillboard mechanical fuel injection system more streetable? It's done. Your problem is in the transfer. So, okay, carburetors have a transfer circuit. Um, So you've got your idle circuit, and then you've got just your part throttle. When you just open the throttle, before you pull enough air, volume of air through the boosters to get fuel flow through that, you've got a transition slot, all right? And that's how you're operating under like very light part throttle, like say 30-mile-an-hour cruise, and you're just barely touching the gas. You're running off of that transfer slot. On a mechanical fuel injection setup doesn't have that. A mechanical fuel injection setup is regulated by the amount of fuel that you send back to the tank, and that's how you tune it. But there's no provision for part throttle, and because the system it's a pressure or operated system, you've got the return has got a jet in it, right? So what it is, it's a poppet with a spring and a jet, and this is how you regulate the fuels going back to the tank. But there's no you can't. I can explain it to you. You can't modulate that just off idle fuel flow, and that's where the problem is. You know, they'll idle just fine. They'll idle just as good as a carbureted car, and they'll run down the road just fine. But it's that transition. It's the transition. They're either dead lean or dead fat. So that's the thing with mechanical fuel injection. It's like it's idle or it's all in. And that's why you don't see functional mechanical fuel injection systems on the street. There are people who have done it. I have seen successful driven mechanical fuel systems. But here's the but, okay? These things are high science. They have so many bypasses, and like it can be done, but it can't be done simply. It can't be done simply. And by the time you there's no there's no uh, there's no book to follow. These are things that are done by individuals who are committed to making those things work. By the time you're done figuring out all of the odds and ends and how to make it all work, it's just not worth it. Fubar, thank you for putting the link to our merch. Excuse me, I'm still sick. Our hats, our T-shirts, all that stuff is in the store. And Fubar, thank you, my brother. Just put the link to that. Um, let's see. Will's Garage. Tony, stop on Milan Dragway in Detroit Saturday night. Will be a lot of grudge racing. We may do that. We may do that. Um, let's see. Zero saying we love you, Kiwi. We all do. We all do. No homo. No homo. Right. Right. We're all together on that. Or maybe some of you. Yeah, Brad. That's just so that So, Kiwi. Off-road against Tony. Do you know what the ring gap for a 1990 LA 360 is for a supercharger? Like, is there a safe area? Depends how much boost. Small amounts of boost, like up to like 6 to 8 pounds, like that, you find with the stock ring gaps. Um, After that, you have to start opening them up. So your best reference for that, okay, 360 Mopar is a 4-inch bore. All of the literature is based on Chevys. So find a Chevy 350 build with a supercharger and the amount of boost that you intend on running, and see what they ran for ring gaps. Uh, Kiwi needs to smoke. Kiwi is so anti-smoking. South Farmington. Can't wait to see the Charger outside. Bro, that makes two of us. That absolutely makes two of us. Let's see. Brett McIntyre. Tony, what's under the hat? Is it thin? Yeah. Yep. Have you talked about joystick, Cheryl? Have you talked about pinion angle? Many times. What do you want to know about pinion angle? You dig in the white Belvedere. You'll see the white Belvedere a lot. You're going to see too much of the white Belvedere very, very soon. The white Belvedere is coming over here after the Charger is out, and the first engine that's going to go in that car is the Slant 6 from Plan Z. So we're going to pick up from there. I'm going to screw around with it just a little bit, and I'm naturally aspirated, but I have fancy plans. And I have a very well-known, very respected racer that he lives just a few miles from here, and we've been talking back and forth about doing maybe a thing or two together. So that Slant 6 may see some very interesting, very spicy stuff. I have not given up on the Slant 6. Just for the record, I have not given up on the Slant 6. I just need a car that's more versatile than the Plan Z Dart was. Blue collar worker, are you bringing the Charger to the cruise? Yeah, the goal, the plan is to drive the Charger up there. Brett McIntyre, we need a good Charger walk around when you get it outside. We're gonna do better than that, bro. We're gonna take that car for a cruise through Nashville. I'm gonna show off my home city and some of its highlights and its landmarks, and we're gonna cruise through it with the Charger. It's gonna be a different video than we usually type of do. Different type of video than we usually do, but I'm looking forward to it. Backyard Clunkers. Uncle Tony, do you have plans to go to Mopar Carlisle for 2024? No, I'm not. I'm going to get the 66 Plymouth Hellfish done for that show. I've never been to one. Always wanted to go. You have so there was a car called the Hellfish Funny Car. Is that the one you've got? Stevie V, make a long video. Okay. Um, I'm in love with Nashville. I love this. I love the city. I really do. And it has some areas and some sites and stuff like that that are very unique, like really unique. So I want to do a tour of Nashville with the Charger and just go through some of the neighborhoods and some of the landmarks and stuff like that at night, because Nashville at night is just a magical place. And so we're gonna do that one day next week. Um, let's see. Kiwi Mopar Tragic. Hi, UT, great show. On Bottle Rocket, can you please explain your build philosophy behind using the 273 heads combined with that single plane inlet manifold? Well, the single plane is because it's a nitrous motor. I'm using plates. And the good motor for the car, which is over there, I haven't put it in the car yet. That's got bigger heads. That's also going to be single plane. As far as the motor that's in the car now, I wanted to experiment with the 273 head. First, because it's open chamber. Oh, I'm sorry, it's closed chamber. This is the 66 through 69 318 273 318 head. So it's closed chamber head, but it has, from what I can tell, the cleanest exhaust port, the straightest exhaust port out of all of them. And nitrous, the thing with nitrous is it very dependent on exhaust flow. So I wanted to see if the thing was going to make any power. It was like curious more than anything else. So I ported those heads, and I ported them, and I ported them, and I ported them to within like an inch of their life. Like they're so ported that I would not use them on a daily driver type of car, because I mean even like on the push rod tubes, I ground through the push rod tubes and they're epoxied. But in some areas like in the bowl and the top of the exhaust port, it's so thin that I would not trust them to be like to drive them, just put them on a street car and drive them. So that's why I use those heads. I wanted to see what they were going to do. And so far, I'm really happy. We ran the car well, the last one was against Casper, and it was a mild run. We only put 150 shot through there. It spun the tires all the way through first. It hooked, it pulled the front end, hooked and pulled the front end, and then it broke traction and headed to the middle of the track, and then wheelied again. So the bottom end power, even with just 150 shot, is it's power. It's a good motor. It's a really good solid combination, but it does not have the capability to move the atmosphere I need up on the top end. And so that's why we're building the other motor with the bigger heads. It'll still be a 318, but yeah, that's why I did it, just to experiment and see if it could be done. Uh, let's see. 79 Poison Breaker. Uncle Tony, is it just as hard to install a stroker kit as rebuild engine for the first timer? It depends on the stroker. So, like for instance, let's just say you're doing the most popular stroker combination of all time is the 383 Chevy. So that's a 350 block with a 400 crank. And when you do that, it's a bolt together with stock rods, I should say. So like it's just literally as easy doing a 383 Chevy, a small block Chevy, as it is building a stock either 350 or any of them. You get into longer strokes, so you get into blocks that had different generations as far as like intended to take a longer stroke, so they have higher bore. Like the bores are a little bit higher. Then you get into grinding and stuff like that. So it just depends on what combination you're looking to build. Let's see. Captain Desmo, are there plans for UTG and DD Speed Shop going on Power Tour next year? No. Let's see. Tony, are Gremlin emblems worth anything? Yeah, does somebody looking for a Gremlin emblem? Sure, of course. Paul Cabazzola, when you cruise Nashville, you stop by the Nashville Steam Locomotive Restoration Facility. I went looking for that, and you can't find it. I have to go. I have to dig into that a little bit more. Mean Machine Mania, what kind of power numbers were you seeing guys push through FE engines back in the day reliably? I have a run-of-the-mill 390 and want to use it in a nostalgia mid-60s drag car. The FE, okay, so getting aside from the oiling issues, because the FE is notorious for the crazy oiling behind the cam bearings and all that. So if you do all of the oiling tricks, you pay very careful, close attention to the oiling system. There's the FE motor is as good as anything else out there. Where you start to run into problems with the FE is when you're in detonation prone situations. So very high compression gasoline, nitrous oxide, turbocharged, supercharged gasoline, right? All types of use that would be very prone to detonation. The FE block does not stand to detonation. It has a very thin main saddle, and the way the oil hole is, and so if you're familiar with FE motors, the oil hole isn't centered in the saddle; it's offset in the saddle, and it's a weak point. Okay, because the FE just wasn't intended to be used in that way, right? Um, but normally aspirated, normal, typical type of engine, you get 500 or 600 horsepower out of an FE motor and not even think twice about it. Just keep it out of detonation. Um, let's see. James Wesley Bell. I've got a 1962 GMC V6 305 big block. What distinguishes a small block from a big block? I'm not familiar with those engines. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Brett McIntyre, do you take content ideas from the subscriber trolls and friends, or are your plans mostly planned out already? I'm always open for ideas. I'm always open for ideas. Troll or not, I mean, I don't care. You can hate me, you can love me. If you got a good idea, it's a good idea. So, yeah, I'm always looking for ideas. Off-road against Tony, what are the small holes under the exhaust side of the headers on a 1993 60? Those are for an air injection system. Those cars came with an air injection system, which was an emissions thing. So the idea was to inject fresh air into the exhaust stream directly on the hot on the hot side of the exhaust port, so the oxygen would allow whatever unburned fuel that came through there to be burned in the exhaust. Whether it works or not is kind of dubious. And what I found almost across the board, every single one of those things I've ever taken apart, those little air passage holes are blocked with carbon. So I mean, if they work, they only work for a short period of time, and I guess if they right away they block with carbon. Bill P, please comment on the pros cons EFI conversion on a 440. Hard for me to do because I'm a carburetor guy. The pro, you'll be less prone to vapor lock and easier starting, especially after the car's been sitting for a day or two. Those are the only pros. Um, I wish I could be more unbiased, and I mean it sincerely. It's like I don't want to come off as somebody, oh, I just hate this because I hate it. I wish I could be more unbiased, but I'm not, and I see very, very few reasons. I see very few reasons to, and many, many reasons not to EFI convert an older engine. Brett McIntyre would be interested in some myth and debunking stuff, such as water injection, some of the snake oil stuff, which is exactly what we're going to do with the mule. That's exactly the kind of stuff we're doing with the mule. Doug, we need a video on AMC demise. Why were they short-lived? Great cars. You don't need that video from me. That video is already out there, okay? And it was done by, oh God, who did it? Give me a second. No, it was great. It was done by Regular Roman, okay? Regular Car Reviews, and Regular Roman did a whole thing on the AMC, and he did it maybe a year ago, and it's like an hour and a half long, like, documentary. And if you're a car nerd like I nerd out with shit like that, okay? Um, yeah, by all means, find that and watch it. He did a great one on Pontiac. Regular Roman is such a brilliant guy. Makes brilliant videos. Um, so yeah, it's already been done. Jeff Hutchins, I would say that EFI helps to minimize the possibility of cylinder wash. Yeah. Go look at some of the videos where people who have had problems with like the sniper systems, where they hang the injectors open and wash the motor. So yeah, no, bro, it's the exact opposite. Um, Jonathan Lupercio, is that your name? I'm sorry, brother. Lupercio. Tony said hyper U pistons don't like much timing. Is that they don't like much timing? They don't like detonation. They don't stand for detonation. The top ring lands on those hyper pistons, the way the ring pack sits on those things, the top ring lands are especially prone to distortion. So that's the problem with them. You run into any sort of detonation issues with them, and the top ring lands want to just go wavy, right? That's your problem with them. Matthew Booth, I heard that you are not a big fan of Pro Street. Is this true? If so, why not? What is the point of Pro Street? I mean, there are like stock-bodied, stock-tire, quiet exhaust cars out there now running like the Fast series. They run single-digit ETs. These cars are in the nines on polyglass tires through quiet exhausts. Okay, now so with that measure, how do you justify a car that looks like it should be faster than that? Okay, but isn't. You know, Pro Street to me is just a bogus thing. I don't feel that way about like Pro Touring. Pro Touring is different. It's a completely different concept. You know, it's where you take an older car and you upgrade, because upgrade is subjective. Okay. Um, but I get the concept of like Pro Touring. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, you want air conditioning, cruise control, you want modern this and modern that, you want to do it in an old body. Makes sense. But Pro Street, big giant tires on it, big crazy roll cage, crazy motor, right? And the car won't run like if you dropped it out of a fucking tree, right? No, the Pro Street is just bogus. Sax 778, Uncle Honey, do you have an opinion on the carb cheater? The carb cheater is a good idea. I mean, it's a controlled vacuum leak. It's like it's a good idea. You know, I can't comment on its execution because I'm not a programmer. I'm not a software guy. You know, so I can't tell you whether that end of it is valid or not. But the basic idea, absolutely, absolutely, it's a good idea. Stoic Steel, Tony, the red painted brake drums really look good on the Charger. I know, I know. I was just geeking out looking at that before. Uh, Tavo Garage, I love sleepers. Look that stock base model. It goes like a race car. Yep. It's always cooler to be fast and not look that way than look fast and not be that way. Um, Olive, how we doing? Olive, I see you're fighting with everybody in the comment section of the that EV video. Chill, baby, chill. Um, I think the charge is going to be great. Maybe Ron should respray the trunk, but the rest looks great on you. Thank you. Uh, Nada, Thunderhead 289 is a clever fella. He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. I personally do not like him. Like as a person, I don't like him uh, because of things that were said, because of things he was trolling me for a while. So as a person, I do not like Luke Thunderhead 289. As a YouTuber, he puts out good content, and as a thinker, well, I mean, yeah, he's good at what he does. He thinks out of the box. He sees projects through. Uh, you know, I have nothing but respect for him as far as his knowledge goes. I just don't respect him as a person. Off-road against Tony. I bought the Sniper EFI to replace the crap that came on a 90 Ram Charger. Okay, I use it as my wheeler. I'm just waiting for it to fail, so I have reason to buy Holly's off-road carb. So off-road against in your situation, like what you did there, that makes sense because the factory TBI system was shit on those things, right? And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the injectors or anything wrong with the pump. That was all fine. The problem was in the computer and the wiring. There were wiring issues with those things. So, um, what you did, replacing the the TBI with the sniper, makes perfect sense, and I would consider doing the same thing myself if I had a TBI car. So, you know, because you got to be fair. Like I said, I don't want to be like just across the board. Oh, I hate this stuff and I reject it completely under any and all circumstances. Where you used it is where it makes sense. Um, let's see. Uh, what did Luke say about Tony? Luke trolled me for like a couple of years. My first encounter with Luke was him messaging me. I don't remember if it was on a comment or if he sent an email. I don't remember. More or less berating me for copying him because I was doing carburetor videos. And it was just downhill from there. Um, Chris Cabin, Tony Angelo's Bass Boat Firebird. That thing is pretty cool. I like that car. I like that car. Min made muscle. I'll say it. Carb cheater is for people who don't know how to truly tune a carb. You're wrong. You're wrong. The car, okay, so no matter how well you tune the carburetor, you can't tune it to be flexible. Like I can explain it to you. You know, it's set it right. Whatever it is you set that carburetor for is what it's going to do. Right. Whatever conditions you set the carburetor for is what it's going to stay at. The carb cheater allows flexibility. It allows tunability. You can tailor the fuel curve on the move the same way you would with an EFI system. So no, there is a difference between knowing how to tune a carburetor and having a setup that will operate circumstantially as the car goes down the road. So it's not the same thing. Uh, Spike Kesta, worth doing anything to a 318? Go look at my bottle rocket videos. Go look at the last bottle rocket video. It's been a while. That was in April. This car hasn't moved since April. Go watch the video racing Casper, and you tell me if the 318 is worth doing anything with. Eric, thoughts on Datsun 240Zs? I love those cars. I owned two of them back in the day. Both of them were turd brown. I don't know why, right? But I had two of those cars for a short period of time each, and I absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. Standing foot, Tony, does car carburetors have accelerator pumps like bulk carbs? Yes, of course they do. John T01. Hi, John T. Made muscle. A carb is an atomization machine. Pro Systems Carbs has some great videos explaining it better than I ever could. Dude, I understand how carbs work. Matthew Booth, dude, do you like Studebakers? I do. I mean, I'm not a Studebaker freak. Um, I believe they were ahead of the time, much like AMC. Yes, they were ahead of the time in a lot of ways. Uh, it's not that I dislike Studebakers at all. I mean, like, but I'm not a Studebaker. It's kind of like Studebaker. To me, Studebakers are kind of like what kind of car am I? It's like okay, Hudson's, Packards, um, uh, I can't even really think cars from that era, from the 50s, 60s. I'm kind of indifferent towards most of them, and I'm kind of that way with Studebakers. I'm kind of indifferent towards them. I recognize their accomplishments. I see what they were able to do. The Larks were those Paxton Supercharged 289s were very cool, very ahead of their time. But I'm not really a fan. I'm not a freak of them. Let's see. Terry CH. Wait. Oh my God. You guys, Mitten made muscle. If I ever needed a controlled vacuum leak, I fixed the problem. I've never one single time ever had an issue if my carb was tuned for economy. If I tune for performance, of course, issues will happen. Bro, we could go back and forth on this all day long. It's a controlled vacuum leak with supplemental fuel. So you're adding another. What you're doing is you're adding a flexible barrel to the car. You're adding an interactive barrel to the carburetor. Is what you're doing. Okay, so it's not the same. It's not the same. The carb cheater is a good idea. I mean, it's just that simple. It's a good idea. Your father overtracked the Hudson. Yeah, they were the shit in the 50s. Um, Treetop Tom. What's happening, Tom? Just started watching your channel because I'm rebuilding a 91 5 liter. You're very thorough and explain everything like a wise uncle. I'm hooked, man. Thanks for sharing this knowledge. You're welcome. Listen, I picked the name Uncle Tony because I kind of feel like I'm the uncle to younger guys who are coming up and trying to learn this stuff. You know what I mean? I think of you guys as like, okay, if I had a nephew that was into these cars, right? And what do I want them to know? You know what I mean? I want to help them get through this. It's not just about selling them parts or the chicken a week or anything like that. I want the people who are coming up, who are learning the craft, and even people who've been around for a long time but never really got into the guts of things. I want to help give them a better understanding and a more flexible perspective than you'll typically find. And that was the whole point behind the channel and the name of the channel. I hope I do that well. Joe K, what exhaust routing is a better choice for flow and power? True dual with X pipe or dual into single with a Y pipe? See, now it depends on the capacity. Um, Depends on the capacity. It depends on RPM, uh, which is kind of capacity by default. Uh, a Up to a point, a large diameter single, a Y pipe, a well constructed, well designed Y pipe, and a large diameter single up to a point is a better choice. And I'm going to say, if I had to pick a number, right, and this is just based on observation, I would say up to around 320 to up to around 320 inches, cubic inch V8, right? Up to about 320 inches, I really think that the best overall exhaust system is going to be a long tube header with a well-designed, meaning the merge is gentle and gradual, Y pipe, and let's say a 2 3/4 to 3 inch single exhaust is going to be your optimum exhaust system for a smaller cubic inch, normally aspirated engine. Once you get above that, you get 350 inches and above, then you've got enough oomph in the exhaust to overcome the parasitic losses that you find in the second pipe. Because you have to remember, it's basic flow. It's the basic flow. So if you have a 2 inch diameter pipe and you say I want to double the flow of this, so I'm going to give a second 2 inch diameter pipe. You're not flowing the same as a 4 inch diameter pipe. You're flowing the same as a 2 3/4 inch or so diameter pipe because there's losses as the gas, and it doesn't matter whether it's exhaust gas or liquid, right? Is flowing through it. There's resistance as it flows, so you don't get it's diminishing returns. Two 2 inch pipes does not give you the same flow as one 4 inch pipe. Two 2 inch pipes gives you the same flow as one 2 3/4 inch pipe. See what I'm saying? So until you get to where you're pumping enough atmosphere through to over and enough velocity to overcome those losses, you're better off with a single. Did, did that explanation make any sense? Uh, let's see. Joe's Fox Body, I appreciate that. I'm not going to repeat it, but I do appreciate that. Thank you. Uh, let's see. 507 Jaybird. Tony, on a 1471 blown injected 475 cubic inch big block Chevy on methanol, how much power will be lost from 30% over to 25 or 20%, and will it be too rich? Uh, so you're saying that you're running this combination right now at 30%, and you want to drop it back to 25% or 20%? So what is the reason for that? There has to be a reason to take boost away, right? Why are you looking to spin the blower slower? Yes, it will be fatter if you slow it down. But how much, the percentage of power loss? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you what the percentage is. But the big question is, why are you looking to slow the blower down? Off-road against. We followed every single motor build video you have, Tony. We followed every single step, even down to your painting techniques. So this is our first engine build. So thank you and wish us luck. I Good luck, really. And I mean that so sincerely. So now I feel that a piece of my soul is wrapped up in your vehicle, and now I'm invested in it. Please keep me posted on how it goes. Uh, Brandon Beatty, centrifugal clutch repair or just buy a new one? What kind of centrifugal clutch? Is it a centrifugal clutch on a go-kart or a centrifugal clutch on a top fuel dragster? I mean, come on, the universe is centrifugal clutches. Matt S. I prefer the sound of a true dual exhaust over a single or single into duals. Dude, let me tell you, if that's the case, you have never heard a 273, like a commando, right? A 273 commando motor in like a 66 Barracuda or Dart, okay? Because that single exhaust with the resonator at the back, it's got that big resonator, it's got a big rectangular opening at the back. Dude, that is without hands down the best sounding muscle car exhaust ever. Me Machine Mania, I have been really into vintage slingshot dragsters lately. How or can I build one in my garage? Yes, you can. You need a TIG. You need a tubing bender. You need a TIG welder. Um, I think S&W had a kit. S&W had a kit. So the thing you need to if you're going to build a slingshot dragster, the two things you got to keep in mind is chassis cert. So it's got to pass 10-1. And I don't know if it's C now or D, but it's got to pass 10. The certification you're looking for is 10-1, and then whatever the latest incarnation of it is. So you got to get the SFI book. But the most important thing is power. Okay, because the less power you have, okay. So here's how you have to look at a slingshot dragster. Okay, the less power you have, the further out the engine has to be. All right. And the lower down it has to be. Because what's happening is a slingshot dragster works on the principle of driving over the center of gravity. So as you're accelerating into it, if you don't have enough power to overcome the center of gravity and lever the front end down, it'll wheelie. You'll never keep it on the ground. So depending on your power level is where the engine is in terms of distance to the rear end. So your motor plate, the distance from your motor plate to the rear axle, and the height of the motor and the pitch of the motor, okay, is all dependent on the power level. And for that, you're going to have to consult with somebody who builds front engine dragsters. I'm just telling you where to look, but I can't give you exact specifications for your combination. But the most important thing when you're building a dragster, okay, most important thing when you keep in mind when you're building a dragster is that as long as the motor plate, and this is the key to it. Okay, this is the absolute key to it. As long as the motor plate and the rear axle are exact, if you have to have an exact square between the motor plate and the rear axle. Okay, so as long as the motor plate and rear axle are an exact square, and they maintain that relationship, the car is going to go straight. The front of the car, when you build it, so a lot of people panic when they're building a dragster. And they're like, oh, it's front tubing. It has to be exactly this. And the axle has to be exactly that. As long as the motor plate and the rear axle are in line with each other, the rest of the car could go like this. It can have all kinds of whoopie-doos and stuff like that. And it'll go straight on down the track. But your key now is, like I said, engine height and distance from the axle, depending on the amount of power that you have, is what's going to make the car work. Standing foot, Tony, what would happen if one were to build a 2-inch stroke V8 for a car? I mean, hey, as long as you're able to rev it to 28,000 RPM, you'll be fine, man. Make plenty of power. Uh, let's see. Me Machine Mania, thanks a ton. It's been a battle finding information on those slingshots. Yeah, because it's a man, it's a very archaic thing. I mean, you're talking about a car that's been out of favor since, oh, God, I don't know, 1972, really. Um, but they're neat, you know. Um, so 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 should I even get into this? I will. I'm going to get into this. Okay. So the slingshot dragster, right? So you want to talk about? Okay. Let's go to a whole different place. Let's go to a whole different place. The slingshot dragster is one of those enduring visions. Okay. Um, like it's the image. Even today, the slingshot dragster has been out of for over half a century. The slingshot dragster has been out of use. Okay. In contemporary use. But if somebody's going to illustrate something to do with drag racing, they use a slingshot dragster. And you'll never find a guy alive that doesn't look at a slingshot dragster and see something beautiful there. Okay? And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The slingshot dragster, the subconscious mind, turns the slingshot dragster into a woman. Okay? You're seeing a woman in her proper proportions. So the skinny front tires are feet. Okay, the long frame rail between the long stretch between and the taper. Okay, from the front axle to the motor is a taper from the ankle to the hip. Okay, and then you get the motor, which is the torso. Okay, and you've got the body, the body of the car, which is more torso. You've got the slicks, which are and the headers. Okay, which are breasts and shoulders, and then you've got the roll cage, which is her head. And the old style roll cage looks right. The single hoop roll cage that comes out like this looks right because that's her hair. So when you look at a slingshot dragster and you're like, oh my God, that's just so beautiful. It's because you're looking at a woman. It wasn't done that way intentionally. You know what I mean? The cars weren't designed that way intentionally, but that's what you're seeing. And if you go now and you go look at pictures of slingshot dragsters, now that I told you this, you'll say, I get it. I get it. One car garage. Any chance you could put together a series of welding videos for us noobs? They would be very bad welding videos because I'm not the best welder. You know, my stuff will stick together, but it ain't gonna be pretty. Because welding, like body work or like painting, is an art. It's an art, and some people have it, man. Some people have it. They could just well perfectly beautiful beads and stuff. I don't have that. I just don't have it. So there are some things that I try to do everything. Okay, there are some things I don't do very well. Painting is one of them. Making pretty welds is another one. I don't do it very well, but I do it effectively. You know what I'm saying? Like I made an effective paint job. The car won't rust. You know what I mean? So I did an effective paint job, but that's as far as it goes. And it's the same thing when I weld something. It'll stay together forever, okay? But it's not gonna be as pretty as. Olive, Tony has emboldened me to go ahead and be non-fussy about welding. I'm fussy, so that's a big deal. There you go, Olive. You know what's great, Olive? It like it. I like you so much because this show, like, we come from the complete opposite ends of the planet as far as like our political or social and political views, but we meet here. You know what I mean? We meet here and we're friends and we see each other's perspectives and stuff like that. And it's like this is the way it should be in the whole world. You know what I mean? Like you can have completely different ideas, but still you meet at this common ground of our love for machinery. Stop fighting with everybody. Standing foot. Love the paint job. Thank you. I appreciate that. Andrew Button, welding is like a photographer. It takes a steady hand. Yeah, and I really don't have a steady hand. I mean, if you watch me for any amount of time, you could tell I lurch into things and stuff like that. And that's my personality. I'm just so I have that problem when I'm doing stuff like welding too. Mackin, so bro, my Russian brother, I'm sorry, I can't even begin to try to pronounce your name. Yep, I agree. Greetings from Russia. I drive a 1981 Volga daily. I happen to love my Russian brothers. I know what your culture is about. I know what your people are about. I have nothing but the greatest respect for all of you and your history. Uh, just just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. You guys are awesome. Um, God bless Uncle Vlad. Yeah, okay. So just to my Russian friend. I can't pronounce your name. Mac. I gotta ask you just a quick question. I don't want to get off into like crazy things. I just want to ask you a quick question and just a quick response. Just a quick response. And I don't want to go off into all of this stuff, right? Because it's way out there. What, as a Russian, what do you know about Tartaria? Tartaria. Tartaria. What do you know about that? Um, and I'll go to other questions while he's nothing. Okay. Okay. Because it's something that I've been learning about lately. It's Tartaria, and again, I don't want to get all into this, right? But it was evidently part of the Russian Empire for generations. It included all of the like Kazakhstan and all of those countries, and then it just kind of like disappeared off the map, like period, the end. So I was curious if there was anything. Yeah, Tataria. Yes. Okay, so you've heard of it. Okay. Silly me. I'm just learning about this stuff. Uh, Tataria. Yes. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I mispronounced it. But again, I'm just learning. Just learning. Um, oh, Rocky, you know about it too. Semi-native to Crimea. Yeah, in that whole area. Back on topic. It's still a republic in Russia. Okay, that I didn't know. Okay. Uh, Off-road against. Hey, Tony, can I weld the fresh air holes closed on a 360 heads? Absolutely. Do it every time. Uh, no Lopez. What's your favorite Mopar? Whatever one is in front of me at any given time is my favorite Mopar. And honestly, I'm not exaggerating that. I'm not exaggerating that one bit, right? Uh, you could ask Uncle Kathy, right? I I geek out over a Slant Six Valiant the same as Hemi Dart. It's like I know a lot of people don't understand that about me, but that's the way I am. It's like I have equal love for all of my Mopar's creatures. Nada, maybe Tony hasn't gotten to the fun mud flood parts yet. Yeah, went to that and away from it, and my opinion on that part of it is shaky at best. But the concept of an 1800s reset is what I'm seeing lots of evidence for. And it's something I never knew about, never looked into, but I'm seeing now that I'm looking into it, I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I've always I've always geez, yeah, I've always had a hunch, a suspicion of. But now that I'm looking at certain things architecturally, regionally, The timelines of certain things. I am starting to see a lot of evidence for a reset that happened sometime in the 1800s. Now, whether it had to do with mud floods, I don't know about that. Yeah, the World's Fairs are a trip. You want to tell me about it? You want to tell me about it? Uh, Me Machine Mania, I saw an older video of yours going over one of those incremental power tricks, and you mentioned the concept of small things coming together for a big effect. Yeah, I can't find the video now. What was it? Bro, I can't think of one video. That's been the theme of my entire channel for as long as I've been doing this stuff. It's look for the little things. It's the little things that all add up. Um, Parasitic losses and it's the philosophy of my channel. Um, Nada. I don't know enough good videos on it though. Yeah, lots of good videos on that stuff. Um, check out a channel. It's two channels I've been looking at a lot lately. One of them is my lunch break. It's called my lunch break, and another one is a guy named and I could be wrong about this, but I think it's John Levy, Levi. I could be wrong about that. Um, but yeah, I've been diving into this stuff like the last couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? Uh, let's see. Chrissy, when is Uncle John Levy? Okay, that is the guy, right, Gary? Okay, thank you. Uh, Chrissy, when is Uncle Crystal coming back? That poor thing is. She works so hard. She goes, please, between running the house, her real estate business, the girls, taking care of the girls. She is just run rampant, and that's the thing, that she's a mom, you know what I mean, and she's doing all of the mom things. So when she'll be back is when her life frees up a little bit. Zero, boss. From the news from the front. Parts purchase has slowed down. Either we fixed everything or, yeah, bro, I know, it's winding down. I know, I know, I know. Mopar Man, Tony, since you're originally from the New York area, do you know Scott Lobiato? No, Uncle, aka Uncle Scotty. I don't. He's hilarious. He's like us politically. I'm not like anybody politically. I got to be honest with you. I, you know, I have extremely conservative. Uh, uh, I have extremely conservative uh, core values, but I'm an extremely liberal person. So yeah, I really don't identify politically with anybody. Mexican expected Kiwi batting. Kiwi is having a knee issue. He's he had his knees he had knee issue. Knees replaced a couple of years ago, and evidently one of them blew out today. So he's being replaced by this for the time being. Um, Vlad Vektomov. Do you think there will be an intentional part shortage in order to force people into EVs? There's going to be a parts. There's going to be an intentional part shortage. Not an intention. When the BRICS currency is finalized and that system and the system to replace SWIFT is in full operation, which is going to be, from what I understand, later on this month, approximately the 22nd, you're going to see parts shortages because people, your foreign manufacturers aren't going to want to take dollars. It's going to have to be converted into a bricks. See, you're going to have you're going to have parts shortages because of that. Anything imported into this country, if and when the brick system is put into effect, you're going to see all of a sudden import prices and availability just blow through the roof, and it's happening now. Stevie B, Tony, you have a lather. No, I have a Baba Goots. Um, let's see. Um, Kiwi's doing a restoration on himself. Yes, and Zero is putting up the link to Kiwi's channel. Kiwi, you like that? Yes, yes. Uh, so go over there and subscribe to Kiwi, even though he's not here. He's healing. The brother man is healing. So send him healing, vibes by subbing to his channel and watching his videos and liking and sharing all of his stuff. I'm gonna send him a wheelchair for next Thursday, or I'll just go to his place. We'll do it at his place, whatever works for him. Uh, Pirate Greg, I'm watching the live stream from our hotel room. You have your pants on, Pirate Greg. Yes, reassure me. Please tell me you've got your pants on. Um, Stranger Sound, what's the future of American manufacturing? That's a great question, isn't it? And I'm going to say, I'm going to say that you're going to have a period, uh, the next 2 to 3 years, because now here's the thing: American manufacturing, what is left of American manufacturing, is highly dependent on foreign goods, foreign materials, foreign goods. So American manufacturing, in the near term, is in for a really rough go. Really rough go. Okay. Um, so at some point, I'm not a psychic, I'm not an economist, right? But at some point, between the currency being our currency being displaced as the world reserve currency and the resurgence of American manufacturing, at some point in there, you're going to have all of our old infrastructure come back to life. So all of the mining, all of the steel mills, all of the processing plants, all of the things that we've uh, pissed away, pissed away. All of those things are going to have to be rebuilt before American manufacturing can get a chance to get a foothold. So I would say, from an investment standpoint, I wouldn't be looking at American manufacturing having any real promise for at least 3 to 5 years, and then after that, straight up, straight up. You wearing PJs? That's fine, Steve. That's fine, Steve. Um, Chris Freemesser, plus you need to train people to work in U.S. factories, lots of skills also. You know what? You would be surprised how quickly people pick up skills when they're really hungry. I mean, you want people to pick up just absolutely jump to a job and master the skills involved. Get them hungry. Let them not eat for a couple of few days at a clip, okay? And then all of a sudden, you see how fast people work. Black Tiger Mexican spec? No, I don't know about that. Because of the stripes? Mexican spec, are you ragging on my stripy paint job? Because if you are, it's cool. Chris C., do you think Ford will go bankrupt betting on the EV market and taking on a $9.2 billion loan? Bro, listen, nothing but ugliness. Nothing but ugliness there. You know, nothing but ugliness. Yeah, you can't do better, but yes. Uh, Government will bail them out. Well, Vlad, that's the problem is government. Look, there's so much going on. There's so much going on, and this isn't the place to talk about it. Uh, Time for another economic advice. No, no economic or social political advice here. Chrissy, the $9.2 billion loan was a government loan. Yeah, they're going to call it a grant, and that's it. That's the end of that. John, and we need a podcast. We may have a podcast very soon. Um, let's see. UTG and Economic Ninja. The Ninja is a very busy guy. Very, very busy guy. So, I don't know about doing something with him. I would. I would. I like the Ninja. His heart's in the right place. And he pops in here every once in a while. Uh, Moonlight Bliss. It's a nice name. Uncle Tony, what are your thoughts on a Peabody cars? Thinking about doing something stupid like a rear drive conversion on mine. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I, I mean, they're better off as I would just if you got one that's clean, I would just use it as a driver, man. You know, it's a lot of work to do a conversion on something like that. I mean, Chrysler used to offer a rear wheel conversion kit for the Daytonas. And I don't remember exactly what the interchange was because that's a pretty obscure time in Mopar history. Um, but yeah, Machine Mania, I was a little late. When are you going to Detroit for? The Dream Cruise. Kathy has never been to Detroit, so I wanna show her around Detroit and road trip to Charger at the same time. Jeff Hutchins, don't stuck floats, needles, and seats flood engines. Yes, yes. Mexican spec. Tony, do you promise to give us a chance to get into the conversation the next time Steve Maggs is on? Okay, so here's what happened with the Steve Maggs thing, right? Steve and I talked about doing a podcast, right? Uh, Again, see, he's really busy. I'm really busy. So we haven't gotten back together again. But we've been talking about doing a podcast. And that last get together that we had was more or less a dry run for a podcast. And that's why we weren't really doing audience the way we usually do. Um, but yes, I realized afterwards that we had left you guys out of the majority of it. So uh, it'll be different next time. It'll be different next time. Um, Well, Frodius, Tony, take a vacation, come to Oregon, and we will take you wheeling in the woods, baby. And thanks for just welding the holes closed. Somebody's out there having fun on their bikes. Um, that was Kathy on the bike. Yeah, that was her on the Super Cup. Adam Herbert, crotch rockets. Oh, I was into them for a long time, man. Very into them. Here, Flint is beautiful this time of year. Don't count that city out. Christopher Homer, your work with Kiwi showing the flipper problem is outstanding. Please keep exposing those dangerous vehicles so others can know what to look for. Thank you, and we will. Liquid Gold, in your time, what was the worst flipper car you've ever seen? Oh, I got to tell you, that Cougar we did over at Kiwis a couple of weeks ago, man. If that wasn't it, that's there in the top, the top two, top three. Greg McDonald, your engine painting video was very good. People like that video. Do you remember what paint color best matches Chevy Orange? Yeah, Omaha Orange. If you could find it, um, it's a Rust-Oleum color, and it's very close to Race Hemi Orange. So it's Omaha, and the Race Hemi Orange is very close to Chevy Orange. So it's Omaha Orange in Canada under the Tremclad name. It's readily available. Every once in a blue moon, I see it pop up here under the Rust-Oleum brand. But the name of the Rust-Oleum name for that color, the Tremclad name for that color is Omaha Orange. Uh, Kyle DeCicchio. So the Holly secondaries dribble at idle, causing the car to run like crap and blow black smoke out of the tailpipe. Any idea what I should do? It's stopping me from driving the car. Okay, so um, Kyle, I'm going to run through all of your possible problems. All right, and it's very simple. Okay, it's very simple. So it's dribbling. It's not overflowing. Right. So this is what I'm going to say now. Okay. First, check your float height. Right. That's an obvious thing. Check your float height. Make sure that you got the sight plug in the side of the carburetor. Take the side of the float ball. Take the sight plug out. Make sure that at idle the float level is set correctly. Okay. Now, if it's dribbling out of the boosters, when you take that sight plug out, it's just gonna flow like crazy. So what you do is turn turn the needle and seat all the way down. Okay. So loosen the nut, loosen the screw, take the nut, turn the nut three or four, turn it three revolutions down. Okay. And or until you feel it stop. And at that point, you've dropped the float all the way down, and there should be no fuel flow through the secondaries. If you're still getting fuel flow through the secondaries, it means that one of the O-rings on the needle and seat assembly is bad. So, or needle and seat assembly itself is bad. The needle isn't closing. You could have a little bit of crud in there. But more than likely, if you take, so now you take the needle assembly out, okay, and you'll see that there's a tiny O-ring on the bottom of it. That O-ring is probably leaking, and that's what's causing the float level to rise, or the fuel level to rise above where the float is stopping the fuel flow and making it drip. So that's probably where you're going to find your problem. Let's see. Killer for Peace 69. Tony should start a new channel, the Mopar Consretards channel. I don't know what that means. I'll take that into consideration. Yeah, Kyle, good luck with that. Listen, bro, Kyle, I've done so many carburetor videos, so many Holly carburetor videos. Just go back and I've covered all of this. I can't tell you how many times. So just search through my videos, and I guarantee you will find the one that fixes your problem. CB, thank you for the super chat. Can I run a carb evap vents into the tank return line? Or do I need to add a charcoal canister with ported vacuum to spacer lines? Can I run a carb evap vents into tank return line? Okay, yes. You don't need the charcoal canister. The charcoal canister is part of a whole evap system. But if you've got an external carburetor vent like a hose, and you don't want it open to the atmosphere under the hood, then yeah, you can just run that right to the vent line that would normally go to the charcoal canister, and that'll vent it'll be an open circuit to the atmosphere side of the float bowl, and that'll work just fine. You don't need the charcoal canister. Uh, Ninja Brohawk. Danny, California. When are you going to make a rocket-powered Mopar? Man, if I can find a Turbonique, a drag axle, I would do that. I would definitely do that. Uh, okay, let's see. I need a. How about Monza says I need a JTOL? I don't know what a JTOL is. I don't know, but I probably need one. I have a puppy. Gabriel DeMarco. Hi, Tony. Oil on the spark plug threads, but not on the electrode. Why? Charger looks. So you're getting oil on the threads that are in the combustion chamber? Is that what you're saying? Um, I don't know. I got to think about that. I got to think about that. Olive, all right. How's Winnie doing? Winnie is a handful. When they talk about border collies being like full of energy and rambunctious and like and oh, a JATO, yeah, okay, a JATO rocket. Okay, okay. I know, jet assisted takeoff rocket. Yeah, that's you spelled it wrong. It's not JATO, JTO. It's an acronym for a jet assisted takeoff rocket, JATO. Um, but yeah, the border collie. Oh man, she's out. This dog. Forget about the fact that she's beyond adorable. Like, yeah, you just can't imagine. All right. Well, you probably can. The energy this dog has is just off the chain, and the biting, the constant biting, constantly biting. I can't take my shoes off in the house. She goes right for my feet. It's crazy. Uh, Brian M. Life, Tony, just be lucky your border collie is not a male. Why do you think I picked the female? All my dogs are females. There's reasons for that. Yeah, border collies are brilliant, also extra hyper. I know. I know. Raining Sun 6, jet take off and landing? No, no. Jet assisted takeoff. That's a JATO rocket. Off-roading Tony, you have no idea how many people tell me I'm stupid when I tell them I put my pistons in backwards. You know, the thing is on the 360, the piston offset is only 60 thousandths of an inch. So you probably won't see very much of an effect with that. When you look at like let's say a 400 Chrysler has a huge piston offset, like it's like 200 thousandths of an inch, quarter of an inch offset in the pin. There's a real extreme difference when you flip those around. On the 360 with only 60 thousandths of an inch, you're probably not going to see that much of it. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but you probably won't see anything profound with it. Uh, One for the road. Embarrassed to ask this. Don't ever be embarrassed to ask a question you don't know, my friend. But my experience with carbs is limited. Chinese replacement carb on a 318 runs great on the stand. Not sure what every nipple is for and can't find a diagram online. Any links? Okay. Uh, jeez. Hang on. Let me see if I have a BBD. I'll be right back. Okay. Not the best example, but this will have what you have on yours. Okay. And I'll show you. I'm just going to show you the important ones, the important things. Okay. This one right here, okay, on the side goes to your vacuum advance. This one here is your PCV valve, okay? You getting that? Now you've got others, and they're for the EGR and all of that. So for that, if you're running, if it's a replacement carburetor and you're running an EGR system, like it's all stock, like a 75 car, 76 car, then you have to just get the vacuum diaphragm for that vacuum diagram to that. If you're not running that, then just block that off. But your important ones, the ones you absolutely need to know about and have to be in the right places, that's your vacuum advance on the Chrysler, right? Ported. And then this right here is going to be your PCV valve. And if you have one on the top here like this is the bowl vent. All right, this just lets air into the bowl. So that you can leave that open or you can plug that into the vent line that goes to the charcoal canister. And those are your important vacuum hoses for a 318. Was that a help, I hope? Murder Nova. Hey Tony, can you do a bit on the history of the Chrysler Hemi? I have. I've done lots of Hemi videos. Oh yes, Tavo. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, yes. Tavo is right. I'm sorry. This one right here is for your choke pull off, which this carburetor doesn't have one on there. But this is for the choke pull off. Tavo, brilliant. Thank you, my brother. Perfect. See, this is why we work together. This is why we all got to work together. So yes, the one opposite on the bottom for the PCV is for the choke pull off, and then this one is for your vacuum advance. Mike N, is there any automotive use for blue RTV, or should I just throw that stuff away? Just throw it away. Just throw it away. Tavo for the win. That's right, Zero. Let's see. All right. So we're coming up on the 2 hour mark. I'm just going to take a couple more of these, and then I want to go home. I'm seriously. I want to go home and play with my dog. I want. I would rather be with my puppy than you guys. Well, all my dogs really. My poor Maggie. Maggie is the poor thing is beside herself. She wants to play with the puppy so bad, so bad, but she's a little rough, so we can't really let her at the puppy yet. But okay. Jay Rodriguez, what days are the trip you're taking? We plan on leaving Friday night. Get there Saturday morning. hang out Saturday evening, and then head home. Good day, Lewis. All right. Yes. So, guys, I'm going to pack it in. Uh, as always, right? Kiwi, right? Make sure you go over there and sub to Kiwi's channel. Kiwi's cup, Kiwi something, all Kiwi stuff. Just Kiwi, okay? Go over there and sub to Kiwi's channel. Watch all of his videos. Sub, share, force your neighbors and your friends. Or use force if you have to. You know what I mean? It's okay because it's for Kiwi. And wish him well. He's got knee issues. Um, so obviously, we love Kiwi. No, no homo, no homo, but we do love Kiwi. And my mods, Ari, Fubar Zero, guys, thank you so much. As always, thank you. Everybody contributed super chat. Thank you. It helps keep the bills paid. It paid for all the tape that I've used on the charger. Wait till you guys see this car. Wait till you see this car. Well, I mean, you saw a little of it today. Wait till you see it on the ground with all the trim back on. It's beautiful. Uh, and everybody contributed just with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. And we'll be back on Sunday night with our usual Sunday night live show. And I think that's it. I'm going to hit the out button now. Yeah. All right. Good night, all. Puppies, here I come.